You're listening to R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast, with me, Chrissy Richards, and Tom Latcham, as we bring you the second half of our exclusive interview with rave pioneer DJ Slipmatt, aka Matt Nelson.
Now we're going to find out a bit more about him as a person, and these are probably questions that you don't necessarily know, because he's never been asked, or if he was asked, it was in the 90s and it was pre-internet, so none of this stuff exists. So call it a public service, really, for all 90s rave fans. But we're going to do a quick fire round, Matt. We want you no prevaricating, just quick, bang, bang, bang. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. Well, we sort of know this, but real name?
Matt.
Matt what?
Matt Nelson.
Age?
53.
Wow.
But not looking a day over 52. Originally from?
I was born in Loughton in Essex.
And where do you live now?
I live in Harlow.
Kids? If yes, how old?
I've got 2, so my daughter's 26, my son's 17. And Rachel, my partner, her son is 23 tomorrow.
And what music do you like except rave music?
My biggest love has always been reggae, I think, really. But I'm quite diverse. I like all sorts.
Do you have a favourite non-rave song?
Yeah, there's loads. I'll tell you what, a little bit sort of very different. Imagine John Lennon.
Favourite movie?
Interesting one. I've never seen Star Wars.
Nah, nor me.
For that.
What?
Nah, nor me.
Never seen
What's the
Star Wars,
point?
yeah.
It's for nerds, isn't it?
Oh my God.
It's for nerds.
I like the fact that I've not seen it now.
No,
So
but
I
I know it's really good fun, isn't it? Telling people that you've never
You're
seen
just both going to be
I bet Paul
stubborn until
Paul
the end
King's
of
eyes
days.
is thinking, oh, how have you never seen that? I can tell he's a Star Wars fan. You can just tell by the look of him. Is that right?
The first 3, yeah. The first 3. The last 18, is it, or whatever? No interest whatsoever.
Never seen
None
it.
at all.
I would agree with that.
Favourite, I'm not really a film buff at all. One that sticks out is The Green Mile.
Yes, great book too. Love the book.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite TV show?
MasterChef.
Nice.
Ah.
Are you a good cook?
I
That's not part of the questions, by the way. I'm just asking because you're cooking after this.
Oh, right, okay. I wouldn't say good cook, but I enjoy it. I enjoy cooking.
Celebrity crush?
Kylie Minogue.
Oh, I wouldn't have expected that one.
Of course it is.
No, do you know
It was
what,
about
though?
30 years ago they got married, wasn't it?
No, do you know what, though? I actually met her.
There you go. We got there
okay.
eventually.
And she gave me a kiss on the cheek.
Yes. Did she say you're my favourite DJ?
No.
No.
I was actually at Top of the Pops.
Oh, right.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah, she was lovely. She actually came in. The producer we sort of said, oh, look, can we meet some of the people? And the producer actually went and got her and brought her in to come and say hello to us.
Oh, it's Slipmatt.
She heard that we were there, yeah.
I've been listening to all your sets. I love you very much. So just tell us one thing about yourself that you think will surprise everyone.
Probably the book thing. So I used to drive up and down the motorway listening to the same music every week, or the latest sort of stuff that was coming out when it was an old school. And now I don't listen to hardly any music in the car at all. Just listen to books.
Yeah, I'd say...
Why is that? Has there been a reason?
That's probably surprising. Yeah.
Has there been a reason why that has changed?
No, just as I've changed, I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do listen to music if I need to, but I've sort of grown out of that, having to listen to it all the time.
I think you have the same thing as well, don't you, Paul, with your cabbing? You've started listening to audiobooks and stuff as a way to, rather than just music all the time.
Yeah, there's only a certain amount of happy hardcore you can listen to.
What? No, don't say that. Not on the 90s Rave Podcast.
I was literally driving around London in my cab. I'm listening to old Slipmatt sets from Helter Skelter. And,
I bet they love that, whoever
sort
it
of
was,
tapping
as
on
a
the
businessman.
partition.
You can shut up.
Yeah, it's gone from that to audiobooks as well, podcasts, yeah.
What's it, Vibesy? He will never, if I've been on the road with him loads of times, and if I put music on, he'll turn it down.
Right.
Never has
What does he
music on
like?
in the
What
car.
does he listen
He'll
to?
listen to Talk Sport or something like that.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? Fine station.
Exactly.
I used to work there.
Even I've been on there.
You have, and that's why we know each other. You're listening to Matt Nelson, aka DJ Slipmatt, here on R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. You hopefully know a little bit more about him than when you first started, and there's much more on the way. So this is R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. Anything you want to get in touch with about, please do so. Hello at the 90s ravepodcast.co.uk. Plus, we are also on all of your social media channels. You just have to search for the 90s Rave Podcast.
So it's probable that you now know a little bit more about Slipmatt than when we started this episode of R.O.A.R. We would like to know more about him as a person.
Yeah, indeed. So, can you describe yourself in 5 words?
very nice, talented.
You've used that one word with very.
Very nice, talented with music.
Very good. Okay. There we go.
So what does it take to make it as a top DJ? Is it natural talent, a good ear? Is it who you know?
Most of it is just having that that sort of passion for it. So passion is being willing to suffer for doing something that you want to do, that you really, really want to do. So I think it's about that. I've seen so many people over the years that that have had good opportunities and whatever, and when it comes to a bit of hard work, they're like, I don't know, I can't be bothered, or they just naturally don't push themselves enough.
I totally get that. Well, you grew up in Essex, as you said. You were born in Loughton. I don't know if you lived there for
18 years.
Okay. In the 70s and the 80s, you were growing up there.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Pretty sort of standard. So I was on sort of on the edge of Debden Council estate. So it was playing out every day with your mates, walking to school, walking back, coming home, getting changed, playing out, getting called in for me dinner. Usual sort of 70s sort of thing that people talk about, drinking from the hose and a hose pipe and all that sort of stuff. It really was a proper sort of 70s background, going down the shops. Misbehaving a bit, was never that bad, but we used to get into bits of trouble. We used to go up the old school up the road and jump around on the roofs and get chased down and stuff like that. But then also we were going up to London at 10 years old.
Really?
Me and my mates, me and my best mate would get 10 number 6 in the newsagents. This is at 10, and get a red bus Rover and then go up to London Bridge.
To do what?
I think we used to go London Dungeons. We did it quite a few times, London Dungeons, and then just walk around.
So by the age of 4, you bought your first record. What was that?
It was Cloda Rogers, Jack in a Box, I think it was called.
I'm just your Jack in the Box.
Really shit show.
Everyone's first tune was shit, except
Well, I was
by the
4
way.
years old. I can't be trendy.
Except
at
by the
4,
way, I
can
will say my first tune was not shit. It was New Order, World in Motion for the England World Cup 1990. I bought it in a little vinyl. So everyone else has got a really crap one, but I actually have got quite a good. What was yours?
The first record I actually bought was People's Party Remix by Hixie and Sunset Regime.
Oh,
That was the
How
first
very on
record
brand.
I bought.
And so what music was on in your house? Were you a musical family? Were your
Yeah.
parents musical?
Yeah, so I was playing records while I was crawling round before I was walking. They had loads of sort of 60s stuff, rock and roll and 60s stuff, tons of records about. Our family weren't musical, but the whole family used to like listening to music. So there was records. I was playing records. My mum reckons I was playing records at 18 months. So they're
Brilliant.
one of them old mono box record players with a lid, and used to load it up with a load of singles, and then it was automatic. But I used to do the whole thing,
Wow.
and then
Well, if anyone was born to be a DJ then.
oh totally, yeah.
And by 10, you had played your first gig at your school disco.
It probably would have been a mixture of probably Elvis, the Beatles, and then some soul music that was sort of
Were you
around
mixing?
at that time, sort of disco.
Were you
disco
mixing it,
stuff.
or was it just...
No. I actually took my dad's record player into school.
Okay.
So he had I think we were one of the first people in our street to have a stereo system. He was a warehouse manager, so he used to be able to take some of the damaged bits and pieces home, or he'd get given them, or a huge discount. So I ended up with this really, really posh stereo system from Norway. It's called Tamberg. It was it's just amazing. So anyway, I took his record player into school. So if there was a family,
How did it go down? Did you clear the room, or was it a
the
popular
one.
set?
As far as I remember, it was all right, yeah. I don't think anyone was allowed to leave anyway, so I was pretty lucky.
We all love a bit of Elvis, don't we? Right? I do. No?
Oh, I can take it.
I used to be a big Elvis fan.
I'm still a big Elvis fan.
Yeah.
I've been to his house.
Have you really?
Yeah.
And then reggae as well, because there can't have been many people listening to reggae in the 70s and 80s in Essex.
Especially a white kid from Loughton.
So why? Why reggae? What?
I don't know, maybe that's why I was a little bit different. I started listening to, what got me into it, I started listening to Rodigan on Capital Radio. And it was just something about the music. It was something to do with the production of it and all the jingles that he used to play and the way it was so sort of stereo and just sort of, but raw at the same time. You know, there's something really edgy about that sort of dub sound.
And is that when you started mixing records for the first time with reggae?
Yeah, I was doing, I loved all the echo stuff. I ended up getting myself an echo chamber with like a cartridge, like a really old fashioned one with a cartridge in it. And then we had these reel-to-reels at home as well. So I'd do all sorts of weird recordings and stuff and make sounds and record them echoing.
You still got it? You still got any of that stuff?
I don't think I've got the echo chamber anymore now. I think that would have worn out.
No, but have you got the recordings, what you made from
I've got
from
some
the
of
time?
it, yeah.
Have you?
Have you,
Are
listened,
they-
have you listened back?
It's pretty pony, yeah. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
obviously.
Pretty bad. but yeah, and I've got bits of it, yeah.
Wow.
Have it?
Oh,
Are they anywhere where we can listen to them?
No.
Oh, please.
Oh, go on.
please.
Go
Maybe
on.
we can have an exclusive on the 90s Rave
I could
podcast.
probably
Oh, it'd be amazing.
find a couple of old mixes that were on reel to reel. That I could give you a couple of
That would
snippets
be
of. Really
fantastic. So, tell us about your entry into the DMC. You were, I believe, against Carl Cox and Hype.
Yeah.
How did that go?
I mean, but you wouldn't have. I mean, I was going to say, did you think, oh shit? But actually, you wouldn't have known who they were, right? They were just random guys who were also alongside you.
I think it's 89 or 90. So it was Carl Cox the first year I did it. I can't remember. I can never remember if it was 89 or 90. So I knew who Carl Cox was, but he obviously was nothing, like he is these days. Yeah, I can't really remember. We were just, me and Lime were just into the whole hip hop thing. Obviously, way before that, we wanted to be DJs and stuff. So I managed to get my 1210s, and that was it. As soon as I got them, that was it. I was practicing scratching and mixing and stuff.
When did you think,
sort
what,
of
I can
like
make a career in
hip hop style?
I could make a career in this.
No, not really. No, it wasn't about that. It was never about making a career. It was just a hobby that I could make some money
And
on.
when you saw Carl Cox mixing and you saw Hype mixing at the DMCs, were they noticeably good? Did you think these guys have got a future here?
Hype was very skillful.
Right.
The one with Carl Cox was with DJ Pogo as well, who's another really good scratch DJ. Carl Cox was never a scratch DJ. So he was good. His mixing was good. Very, very good, of course.
Did you bring any gimmicks to the DMC? Because some of them, they do mad things like they put, I don't know, they have like
Mix
I've seen
their
one with
tongues and
chickens on their hands, rubber chickens, and
Nah, there wasn't a lot of that in my heats, actually, to be honest.
How did you get on?
It was just that I think the most thing was like turning around and doing
behind your
the
back.
crossfader behind your back.
How did you get on?
Brilliant.
Where did you rank?
I got through to the evening, both years. So the first year was Carl Cox was in it, and he won. He won that heat. I don't think he went on to get any further than that. I don't think. And then the second year, I got through to the evening again. That was with Hype. That was at Ealing, Broadway Boulevard. And I didn't win anything in the evening.
Did Hype win?
I think he probably did actually. Yeah.
Okay.
It was him and Pogo, because I remember there being a bit of rivalry between their sort of crews and that.
Wicked.
any backstage Barneys.
I think between Hype and Pogo there was real tension. Yeah.
And so, how did you get into rave music? Because DMC is largely hip hop, and so how did you move then?
So-
What got you into rave music?
So I was into house music when that first started, which was '86, which was before the DMC thing and that as well. And by 1988, real sort of rave thing had started. We were going up Camden Palace and places like that, raving. I had my first actual set in '88 actually in Camden, a place called HQ in Camden Lock, and that was for the geezer that then partnered up with my brother in '89 to start Rain Dance.
Right.
So then when Rain Dance started, my brother's being a bit of an entrepreneur. It's like, right, okay, he obviously had music all around him with me playing the music all the time. He was a bit of a clubber himself as well, and just thought, right, okay, I need to put a rave on. So,
I mean, if you can't get a booking off your brother, then you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah.
So do you remember the first rave tune that you ever bought?
Might have been Jackie Body, actually. Steve Silk Hurley, Jackie Body, which actually got to number 1. But I think I got it on an import, so I was a little bit cooler than it wasn't just a chart. It wasn't just a chart moment.
Okay, mate. And what were the sort
My
of...
first import I bought was up at HMV in Bond Street in 1977 or 78. You Make Me Feel Sylvester.
Wow.
329.
And what rave records were you really into at that point?
It was a lot more diverse back then, so it was all sort of quite housey, quite sort of techno-y, a lot of New York stuff, so New Groove and those sort of labels, Frankie Bones and all the Bones Break stuff. So lots of imports and that as well. I used to go up to Music Power in Ilford. That was wasn't that close to Loughton, but it was probably the best shop, sort of best closest shop for me.
I remember, I don't think I ever went to Music Power, but I remember it being a thing. I remember it being a big place where people would go.
Yeah, I got to know them up there. In the end, I'd just go in and go behind the counter, and then eventually go behind the counter and take all the tunes home, and then bring back what I didn't want.
Well, that's nice.
So,
Offered a returns policy.
Cool. Yeah, well, I was spending so much money in there.
Really?
Yeah, mate.
How much would you spend a week?
I suppose 40, 50 quid.
But record shops, I mean, they were really important to the 90s rave scene, weren't they?
It was a culture, wasn't it?
It was a place where people went and they didn't just buy records. You made friends, you kind of hung around, you'd pick up flyers. I mean...
There'd be people that would go to the record shop, not buy a thing, ever. They'd just go and stand
That's
in
true,
there, listen
yeah.
to the music, chat to everyone.
And how important were they, though, for the scene? Obviously, in a pre-internet age, that's where you...
That was where you got all your info from. That's where the buzz came from, wasn't it? So all the flyers were in there. And it would be, right, what's going on? And I suppose you'd pick up where everyone was going.
Do you feel like an important part of the scene overall is lost since kind of like everything's gone digital?
It's certainly lost that culture to it, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Do you feel sad about that?
It is a shame in a way, but then if we had to go back from where we are now to have an easy access to all the information, it would probably be a
ball ache.
Probably be shit, yeah. Yeah.
So in your time, right, you've known a lot of MCs and a lot of DJs. But what was it specifically about Lime that led you to work with him and become SL2?
With John, I was at school with John. So we was at Buckerstill County High School together from 11 years old. And it was sort of me and him that were, we sort of become sort of classmates or mates through the music. He was into, similar sort of music to me. He was more into the electro, and I had my sort of reggae thing going on. But we were into the whole dance music sort of thing, And then when house music come out, that was it. We were both hooked together.
So you were friends at school.
Yeah.
Was one of you like a cool one and the other one a nerdy one?
I was the cool one.
He was the nerd.
That's where you're wrong, because we've supposed to no. You set up.
He does actually joke that I used to bully him at school. I was never a bully at school, not in the slightest.
It's all coming out now.
but
Slipmatt the bully.
So this is R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. Another feature we're going to be running here on R.O.A.R is Tune 101. I've got to say, I didn't come up with that title. That was all the work of Miss Chris E. Manick.
Yes.
But it's going to see our guests select 3 rave tunes they hate.
Yes, so 3 of your most hated rave tunes. It can be for any reason.
There was one tune that I don't like. And it's funny, actually. I was chatting with JJ the other day. KWS, Please Don't Go.
Yeah.
Which actually, is that rave tune? Is that really rave tune? But it was number 1 when we were number 2 in the chart. That pipped us to the post to number 1. We were number 1 in the network chart, and we were number 1 in the midweek chart. And then KWS Please Don't Go got in there, and it kept us out the number 1 spot.
It was
so
quite
that's not even
annoying.
about the tune, is it? That's just because it stops you
Just
being
them.
number 1.
Yeah.
Any others? What other tune? And if you, by the way, don't say this by de facto means that you think that the Match of the Day theme tune that DJ Sai released is not worthy of going into Tune 101.
Yeah, Sai's done a few bad tunes. He really, really has. I think one of them actually was. It's got to be, what was the Wigfield track?
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Oh, that's my favourite.
Hixie.
It's the sort of thing that Tom loves.
So Hixie did a version. I know, actually, yeah. Proper cheesy quaver.
I don't remember that one.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I
maybe
must
it's my.
Well, hold on.
I've blocked it out.
Paul Kingsize, our resident nerd, do you know this one?
Well, is it post 97?
Probably.
Yeah,
It's gotta be,
I
innit?
won't know it then. I think anything that happened after that, I just sort of blocked out, if I'm honest.
I think I'm the
Well, you're no
biggest...
good for the 90s expert. You've only got 7 years of it.
7 out of 10 ain't bad, mate.
I'm the biggest cheeser here, so I'll be
And
all
you
right
know
there.
it?
But no, I didn't know it.
Christ.
I'm not sure I would
I
have
wonder
liked
if
that.
it's on YouTube. We're going to
Maybe
try
you never
and
got
find
past
that.
dub plate.
Might have been a dub plate, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll say DJ Size Striker.
I
So
think-
that's number 3.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, the whole Sire has done a lot of bad tunes. But
Do you know
funny
what?
enough,
Do you know
that
what?
covers a few.
If he showed me a few Size tunes, I could probably fully list that.
And do you think that, and have you told Sire that before? Does he know that?
Will you get
I
upset?
wouldn't be embarrassed telling him.
Okay, fine.
No.
And what would he say?
He'd probably agree with me. I think.
Excellent. You're listening to Raw, the 90s Rave Podcast with me, Tom Latcham, Chrissy Richards, and DJ Slipmatt.
So we are going to now move on to your good pals, the Prodigy. We'd like to know how you met.
Liam, actually, me and John were doing a setup at the barn in Braintree, and Liam actually came up and gave us his first record on
really?
promo. Yeah, he actually gave it to John, which I
Oh, Devo.
Why do you think that
shouldn't
was?
say that, really, should I?
Why do you think that was?
Does he still have it? This is the question.
Well, we were there together anyway. So
Okay, all right.
He sort of gave it to both. Yeah, Liam come up and gave us his tune, and
So he was like,
my new tune.
he was like, look, you're a well-known DJ. Here's my
Yeah,
tune.
he wasn't known at the time, so this was before I think it was his first release. Was it Android or something?
Yeah, it's What Evil Lurks, Android
Yeah.
on XL.
By the way, so that's Paul Kingsize, and we should say Paul is our producer and absolute nerd in terms of music. So
I know,
any
he's like-
questions we've
Catalogue
got,
brain
it's
there.
always going to go straight to him. That's not why you're here, Paul, but it is very useful, if I may say that. So what did you do with it? Did you play it out?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And to big crowds? What I'm getting at is, did you help to create the Prodigy?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, certainly the hype around
say
it and all that sort of... I'm not saying to be big-headed. I'm just genuinely, like, if you played it to a big crowd, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah, I suppose I've definitely played my part in pushing them. Yeah, of course, yeah. Throughout the years, when I've played all their tracks. I do believe I was Liam's favourite DJ at one point as well. I think I had my name
What's
on his,
happened?
a shout onto his...
Why are you not anymore? Who's his favourite DJ now?
Well, actually, I did support him in 2013. It feels like ages.
No,
it's
you
like
should-
ages ago now, isn't it?
It
It's
was,
7
really,
years ago.
yeah.
Didn't you support them?
Feels-
Didn't
sorry,
you
it
support?
feels
No,
like
you
the other
supported
day.
them at New Year's Eve
Yes,
at the
that's what I'm talking
O2.
about, yeah.
Was that 2013?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
I was there. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Hang on, is this the
Christ
one you were
almighty.
talking about earlier?
No. That wasn't.
Oh,
No,
okay, that's a different New Year,
That was
was
a different
it?
New Year. I've seen you two years then. No, I can remember the one at the O2.
Yeah.
I can't remember the
That's
one
what
that
I'm
I saw
saying. It
you.
feels like last year or something.
Yes. Christ.
Yeah. So and they just asked me out of the blue to finish off the whole night. So I came on. Literally, they went as they were walking off. I was wheeled on, not myself. The decks were wheeled on, and then started straight away, and then finished the night off. Yeah.
And what were they like as lads? Because I mean, now we
Yeah,
know this
wicked,
is
yeah.
massive, famous act. But once upon a time, you were rave DJs together. So what were they like back
I
then?
I was never really close with Liam at all. I found Liam very, very shy. So although we sort of knew each other and we'd met each other and that, there wasn't a lot going on between me and Liam. I'm still quite close mates with Leroy. Obviously Keith not with us anymore, which was
sad.
which was devastating. Yeah, and I used to get on very well with Keith as well. He was sort of probably the most friendly one out of all of them, I think. Not necessarily more friendly than the others, but just
Outgoing.
just more forward. Yeah, yeah.
Did anyone see that coming? He was
I
obviously...
certainly didn't. I mean, I hadn't sort of spent a lot of time with him for a long, long time. It was a relationship where we'd be like, "Hello, mate, how are you?" It's sort of very, very friendly and stuff. But no, I didn't even realise it. Didn't really occur to me that he'd been having problems, but he'd had mental problems for quite a while, I think. Yeah.
I know you were on Channel 4 News talking about him
Yeah.
at the time, weren't you?
Yeah.
It was, you could tell your devastation at the time.
Yeah, no, that's horrible. That's really, really shocking that morning.
Yeah, it
when
was.
We found out, yeah. It's
Big
like,
shock to
shit.
everyone.
Rachel come into I was sitting in the studio and she come in and she was like, check the news quick. And we was like, fuck.
What's your abiding memory of him?
Do you know what? He was just like Mr. Nice. He was just such a lovely fella. But like I was saying, really sort of outgoing and stuff. Just like the most friendliest person you could ever meet. And you just wouldn't imagine that he had demons and stuff.
No, he does strike me as someone that would have been sort of like the life and soul of the party. And sometimes they tend to be the people that are hiding some kind of serious mental
sort of
health
quite
issues.
Extreme, I suppose. Extreme in his sort of the way he acted and I don't know.
Will we ever see his like again in the rave scene, do you think?
No, I don't think so. Not so. I mean, the rave scene's changed anyway, so certainly a unique moment.
Less room for people like Keith, eccentrics, and
No, probably not enough people like that. I think.
yeah. And cast your mind back
change yourself out of it.
and change your mind, but cast your mind back to when you first saw the Prodigy. You were in rave DJs all together, but they obviously had PAs and stuff and that sort of thing. But did you ever see how big they would get?
No, but you could tell from Liam's music that he had something special there. You could just, there was definitely something really, really special about his music, just the way it was put together and stuff. So it was no surprise that they really sort of took off.
How important would you say that the Prodigy were to the 90s rave scene in general?
Yeah, massive. Absolutely massive. It made it so much more international, I think.
They were sort of ahead of their time, weren't they, as well,
Yeah.
with their tunes?
Yeah, totally, yeah. He was in a different sort of league when Liam really, he wasn't just rave. There was a lot more potential there with him. Whereas me and Liam, we made a few rave tunes sort of thing. That's how I see us.
This is R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast. We hope you're enjoying listening to them as much as we enjoy making them. But now here comes the money bit. We are 3 average people with expensive children and busy lives. We would love to continue bringing you more epic 90s rave content, but we need your help in order to do this. We've set up a GoFundMe page and you could become a part of this fantastic and exciting project documenting the 90s for less than the price of a posh loaf of bread. Head on over to gofundme.com/the 90s Rave Podcast and help us to make history. As a little fun feature, we have put together 25 of your tunes in a 40-second Megamix.
That's like less than 2 seconds.
Indeed, it was going to be a quick writing job.
I can't write.
You
I've got to shout out.
I would, no. It's
okay. All right,
there's
right.
so many that happen in such a short space of time. I
Just
think
a note.
try and
just
remember.
A quick note. There we go.
Could be embarrassing,
Well, so how well do you know your own tunes? You write them down, and we'll see how you get on at the end.
Let the beat commence. Can you handle this?
Can't remember what that one is at the end. Aftershock was the first track. SMD3.
Yep,
I think it might have been SMD4 actually, the B side of it.
yep. That's my favourite SMD, by the
Right,
way.
okay. Crowd Control,
Yes,
Jump Around,
yep,
High Love,
yes,
Why My Brain,
yep,
Live Together,
yes,
Hear Me,
yes,
DJs Take Control.
yes.
That's right, I'm not looking. That's all I've got.
All right, you
That's
did
all I've got,
really
mate.
well. So you also
I
had...
obviously recognise them all, but
I mean, really, you
So
should have got
many
the top 2 that you're going to read out.
was SMD1,
Obviously,
right.
SMD2.
Obviously.
We had to go through all the SMDs.
I could have just guessed those, couldn't I?
yes, indeed.
Drum beats,
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
On a Ragga Tip,
Yeah.
The Noise, Pleasure,
Can you remember these tracks?
I can.
Because you look a bit blank.
I didn't realise there was so many SL2 bits in there.
SL Electro,
Right.
Breaking Free,
Yeah.
Sunshine on a Rainy Day, Something Like This,
Sunshine on a Rainy Day. Yeah.
Drums of Doom.
Did I say something like this?
No,
I did.
But you wrote it.
It's there, yeah. Something
Cool.
like this.
Drums of Doom and The Big Spill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 out of 25.
Not bad. That isn't
Bad,
bad
is
at
it?
all. That isn't bad. Well done.
Just over half.
Yeah.
Considering some of those tunes are older than like most everyone's children now, you know.
I think you did very well. I think you did very well. You're listening to R.O.A.R, the 90s Rave Podcast, with me, Tom Latcham, and Chrissy Richards. We're on email at hello@the90sravepodcast.co.uk if you want to get in touch.
We're still here with the rave legend Slipmatt. Our time, sadly, together is coming to an end. So we're going to move on into the present and also look back from the future. What was your favourite 90s year for raving or DJing, and why?
I'd probably say 97, I think.
Oh, that's
is a surprise.
That's a big surprise.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, what do you think? I was going to say 92.
Well, Paul's
I don't
delighted
know.
because it's just at the end of his area of knowledge.
It's also the year that You Belong to Me came out.
Oh, well, is that why? Is that why?
That was
no, you can't keep doing this.
That was probably it,
You can't
yeah.
keep doing this.
Slipmatt, you do
Yeah.
realise you're going to make my home life hell with this.
I think you might move out and move in with Slipmatt.
I think pretty much every year in the 90s was absolutely amazing. But 97, I started partying properly for a while, and it was just pretty mad year. That's good.
Because of the
Full of
drug.
fun.
Because of the drugs.
Not because of that. No, I started going to Ibiza more. I probably went to Ibiza quite a few times.
I remember actually, being in Ibiza 2001, I think. You were there. You were in the West End, and me and my friend walked past. I think you were playing at Play 2.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a Scouser standing next to you going, "Are you going to play Shooting Star, mate? Are you going to play Shooting Star?"
That's what I was trying to think earlier.
And you were kind
The
of like...
cheesy ones, yeah.
Was that in Tune 101? No, well, you liked it.
It wouldn't be 101, but that was one of the ones that's sort of bordering on cheesy, yeah, stuff that I sort of had.
So
to
did you play it?
I did, yeah.
just for him?
No, as a DJ.
I'll take him requests. What do you want?
Oh, what, that night? No, I didn't play it that night.
Oh, okay.
No, not in Play 2.
Right.
Oh, no.
But you did. So you did play tunes that you didn't like.
Of course, yeah, as a DJ, I think
Why?
you've got to, yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's not all about me. It's not all about DJ. I wouldn't play a whole set of tunes that I didn't like just to play them. But if there's something going around, something that's cool at the time or something that everyone's into, yeah, I think as a DJ, I think you should.
I have to say I never have. I mean, but then I've liked...
there's
I
probably
like
a reason
lot
why you're
of
not the
music.
Godfather of happy hardcore.
I'm not talking about something I really hate. It's a bit different, but
Yeah.
But there's plenty of tunes
Oh, I
that I
guess,
played.
like,
that,
you know, the sort of filler tunes. So you think it's not bad.
Yeah. Amount of times people come to play Toy Town, you know, and I've been, I just wouldn't have played it normally. But it's like when you get so many people coming up asking for it, when are you going to play Toy Town?
I guess you've got to be a crowd pleaser as well,
Christ,
right?
Imagine that.
Not full-time crowd pleaser.
No, of course not.
So looking back now, what are your feelings about the 90s rave scene?
Absolutely unique. There will never be anything like it again. So I think that we've all been through the 90s scene. We're all very, very fortunate.
I haven't.
to have.
I'm too young.
You're not
mate.
that young, are you?
I am.
He is.
I am.
He was a latecomer.
I went to my first rave in 2000.
He was a latecomer.
Yeah, I know. So I'm actually not very well suited to this podcast, frankly, but I just love the music. So and I love the people. I was saying the reason why I started doing this, and we've got that little get to know you thing that we're doing. The reason why I'm doing this is because I don't think the 90s rave scene has been that well documented. It's certainly not the happy hardcore side of things, because a lot of it was pre-internet and it doesn't exist anymore. You know, the sort of fanzines and all that sort of stuff where there were interviews with you guys, they don't really exist anymore. So I wanted to go and explore that.
Totally, yeah. I don't think there's been enough about the 90s. It'd be really nice to see some decent documentaries actually about the whole actual hardcore thing. Yeah. No, that would be really, really good. There's been loads of stuff on Jungle, and there's been lots of stuff on Acid House. but yeah, actually really exploring the hardcore side of things. I think people would love it. I think
they might.
absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the 90s, us three, we're all very lucky.
Well, but can I ask you a question though? In terms of, so looking back now, so the reason is I think maybe there hasn't been a lot of this stuff is because people feel a lot of it was shit, right? But a lot of it was fantastic. Do you think there's an embarrassment among people? Do you feel in any way embarrassed about some of it?
No, not at all. No, definitely not. Like I say, I still love it. I still love doing it. I don't really want to sort of play the hardcore stuff too much now because I'm playing house music. I'm more of a house DJ now, and it just doesn't really mix. It could even confuse some people, I think. But no, certainly not embarrassed about it. And it was never as cool. That was the thing, because it was people.
They didn't care, right?
People going in, they didn't care. Didn't really care what they look like.
That was what made it brilliant.
Of course it was.
Nobody
People let go, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody cared. They just had a good time.
Yeah, so it wasn't so cool. But it's surprising actually the amount of jungle DJs and drum and bass DJs that I've spoken to in more recent years that actually look back on some of the hardcore tracks sort of fondly. It's surprises me. I think maybe it's a bit of a misconception that it's not that popular. I think a good documentary on the 90s, the whole happy hardcore thing and everything, right away through the mid-90s would smash it.
We've got a good question from somebody on one of our posts, Rave A to Z, that said, do you think that social media and mobile phones have affected the rave scene?
Yeah, massively. It's affected everything. So, yeah, in a big way, but not necessarily all negatively.
How has it affected it?
It's made the world so much faster. For a start, it's brought everyone together, so you can speak to anyone now. So anyone can speak to the DJs or to the people that are involved.
There's those annoying people on the dance floor when you're playing a set and they're all standing there holding up their iPads.
How do you feel with that about people filming everything rather than actually having a good time?
Yeah, it's a bit silly sometimes. I mean, I've been guilty of doing that as well. It's, you want to grab a picture or something, but yeah, I do find it strange when people are just there. They're just there taking video. It's like, you're never going to bloody watch it back.
No.
Surely not. And if you do, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Unfortunately, no one is doing this at the moment because of coronavirus, as we talked about earlier on. How have you found coronavirus with no raves, with no events? I know you've got a lot of other stuff that you do, but let's face it, playing out is your bread and butter. Yeah,
so I'm a bit skint at the moment. Right. It's been, do you know what? It's actually been quite a nice break for me, and we both said it, Rachel as well. We don't go out. We don't go out loads during the week anyway. So most of my going out is we might go out for a meal once in a while, or at the weekend. So it's just the weekends really that's been affected. And I'm still playing. I'm probably playing to more people online than I would be live face to face. So the first one I did, and I never used to do any of the Facebook Live stuff or anything. So I've had to sort of embrace that.
Now you have to. Yeah,
I've embraced it. I didn't have to, but I did embrace it. And then I've now got a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, Slipmatt, he's the Corona, online DJ,
the Godfather of Corona DJ."
Yeah. But the first one I did for Moondance, we had like 7,000 devices locked in.
Amazing.
That could be up to like 20,000 people watching.
What do you think then the future is, sort of post-coronavirus? Do you think the scene will ever go back to how it was before?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I actually do. There might be changes, but I think we tend to snap back pretty. But the thing is,
if we don't have a vaccine, and that may or may not happen at any point soon, we just don't know. We have no idea. There will be social distancing measures. They've just started recently saying you can have outdoor events, but only with social distancing measures. They're doing test events indoors, but again with social distancing measures. It's just not possible, is it, to have a rave? And it's not even about the dance floor necessarily, but who's standing in a fucking ring a metre apart from... It's just not happening, right? It's not happening. It can't happen. That's just not how raves are. Is raving as we know it over?
No, I don't think so.
You think it'll just bounce back as it was before?
So, yeah. If you go
sooner
back,
or later.
If you go back to, I don't know if you've seen, there was a documentary on a 1918
What was the rave scene like then?
Flu. Yeah, music was a bit different. but it took like a year and a half or nearly 2 years for it to go. And they had a second wave, which was even more deadly. And they basically, I think that basically the conclusion was you either caught the virus and survived, or you caught it and you pegged it. So it could be a case.
So immunity is the answer, you think?
I mean, we're in a better position that, well, we are, not everyone, but it's affecting older people and vulnerable people. So they should most certainly be kept away from, and sort of isolated to an extent. But the 1918 virus was affecting fit people, sort of fit young males, I think, was the most. But yeah, a year and a half, couple of years, and it was gone, and things went back to normal as far as I know. I wasn't actually alive.
If it does, let's say it does last 2 years, right? Most venues.
That's going to be tough.
Well, exactly. Tell us what you think about that, because a lot of venues will shut.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of venues are going to be shut already, I think.
We're an impatient bunch,
tough.
though, us ravers, right? We're not going to wait 2 years to rave.
We're a lot more impatient than people were 100 years ago as well, in general.
Yeah. Do you think there was likely to be a big resurgence in underground parties?
There's a lot of illegal parties going on already.
Seems to be a lot happening at the moment.
I've put things out on my social media, and people were like, well, actually, Matt, there's lots of parties going on already, sort of thing. So there's stuff going on, yeah. It will... It's so hard to say in it, but I think people are expecting that, people haven't been out for a long time. As soon as we're allowed to go back raving sort of normally, if that does happen, it's going to be huge and all that. It probably won't be. It'll probably be a bit of an anticlimax.
Bit like all the New Year's Eve Millennium.
yeah, exactly, yeah. People won't have as much money, I wouldn't think. And actually, you probably get used to going out raving, so you've probably got a bit more energy. I would imagine some people, especially the older ones of us, would be like, God, not used to it.
Maybe they would do sit-down raves, because obviously you can then space people out. And I've actually been, for quite some time, saying I'd really like to go to a sit-down rave.
I'm totally the opposite. That sounds absolutely awful. Yeah. Count me out.
Depends what drugs you're doing, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I saw a video. Someone put a video out of like a sectioned off rave, and there was people dancing within the ropes. You probably saw the same.
But who's going to police that? I mean, come on.
But it's ridiculous, though. If you stood there, if I stood there in a square of a rope, you ain't going to last long, are you? I just keep there dancing.
Of course, you'd move.
Get bored.
Yeah.
It's all about interacting. It's all about interacting with people.
Hugging people, yeah.
So you think then there's been a few drive-in events where you obviously drive
in.
I'm
doing one this weekend. Actually.
How do you feel about those then, seeing as there'll be no interaction there?
They'll beat their horns, I think. Yeah. I think they'll get a lot of beeping when you drop a top tune.
I'll find out on Saturday. I'm doing it. It's a big fish, little fish, so it's a family thing.
So tell us about all of your other projects. We've left the hardcore. We're going to come into the present day.
So I'm trying to write a book, which I've been trying to do for ages, which I sort of tend to do a tiny little bit and then run out of time and then don't go back to it for a while. So that's on the cards, but it could be another year, I reckon. I'm doing a thing called My DJ Hub, which is like a DJ tuition sort of community. We've got a website. We're doing webinars every week.
Is that popular?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're getting about 30 or 40 people every week at the moment. It's free. It's free at the moment, but it's just something we're sort of testing out. Nice to sort of share a bit of experience with people. We've got Nikki Black Markets coming and doing a webinar this week, and then my other big thing that I do is Slip Back in Time, which we've got our Ibiza event, which was unfortunately cancelled this year, which was a nightmare.
Yes, it would have been more or less right at the start of lockdown, I guess, May.
Yeah.
So did you have to do all the logistics on that?
18th of May, we were going to start. So when lockdown started, which was middle of March, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
We was like, nah, we'll be all right. Obviously, we've never been through this before, so it was like, that's all right, it's a couple of months away, we'll be fine. Lockdown will be a couple of weeks or, maybe a month at the most, we'll be fine. But obviously, that didn't happen at all.
So did you have to look after the logistics of postponing that?
Yeah, so, it's easy to postpone. I mean, Ibiza hasn't been open properly anyway. So all the venues and everything, all the DJs and all that, it's not a problem at all. We didn't even have to contact everyone straight away. It's just people knew. But obviously there's all the customers as well. But everyone's been really, really good. We've refunded a couple of people that just wanted refunds. Probably 95% of the people just said, yep, just move us to next year.
Do your favourite podcast people get a special VIP suite for next year?
You should definitely.
You don't
come.
have to answer that.
That was a no. No. You should definitely come is a no. Well, I mean, you can come, but fuck you, I'm not paying.
The VIP suites are taken.
Let's kick them out.
But no, you should come. You should come over.
We could do a podcast from there. Why don't we get a podcast from there?
I'm in.
I think we should if we're still
we'll
going.
I'm up for it.
Yeah, I'm in.
No, we'll certainly work something out.
All right, wicked.
Ibiza?
I said I never would again.
But-
It's been 19 years. But, I may change my mind.
Well, it's
I may
next
change my
year,
mind.
so that'll be 20
Yeah,
years.
Especially after he said you're his favourite producer.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
true.
How can you
Yeah.
say no now?
He
Favourite
does
producer,
have to.
favourite record.
He does have to go to bed at 10 p.m. So make sure that your events start at midday. And
Yeah, it's all
finish by
day raves,
9,
isn't it?
Right?
It's all day
Go to
raves.
bed at 10, get up at 2, and then you come out.
Lovely. Looking forward to it already.
So, do you think that you'll be a DJ forever?
Yeah,
do
I
you
think so.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
No, definitely not retiring.
If there was anything else, though, that you could do, if someone said you're not allowed to DJ anymore, that's it, what other thing do you think you would enjoy doing?
I like the idea of writing, but I'm not particularly good at that yet. I haven't even finished my first book yet, so. But I do like the writing. I like the idea of my DJ hub thing. So sort of teaching in a way. I'm not a teacher. I wouldn't say I'm a particularly good teacher, but you've got to learn how to do stuff.
If we could get anyone from the 90s rave scene on our podcast, anyone, who would you really like to hear from and why?
I mean, Cole Cox would be a good one if you can
Yeah.
get Cole. He's got some
a name.
stories, hasn't he, and stuff. He's had a colourful journey. All sorts of. He's been around the world a million times. So that would be really, really cool. Mickey Finn's always very interesting.
Yeah.
He's always
He,
got a good
we
story.
recently added him on Facebook. And he's got some funny videos on there. Like he's
Yeah,
got about
I like-
500 mobile phones.
Yeah, he's a character
He is a character.
Most definitely, yeah. He's a lovely fellow as well.
and a bloody good DJ.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're both on our list, and we'll bear that in mind when you can come round and watch. You're listening to R.O.A.R. You have been listening to R.O.A.R. That's it from the one and only Slipmatt. Me, Tom Latcham and Chrissy Richards, thank you for listening.
Email your questions, suggestions, or who you'd like to hear on the pod, and any shouts to hello@the90sravepodcast.co.uk.
And we'll see you next time.
Oi, oi.
Savalor.
Thank you. You've been listening to R.O.A.R's exclusive interview with rave pioneer Slipmatt, and there's plenty more to come with Nightfall's breakbeat hardcore legend Lunacy up next. If you can spare a few quid to help us improve our recording kit and make it sound even better, that would be just swell. You can do so at gofundme.com/the90s Rave Podcast. You can also find us on all your social media channels. Just search for the 90s Rave Podcast. Goodbye.